May I invite Dr. Khosla to please address the gathering.
Honorable Governor Shri, friends, colleagues, the previous speakers have covered a great deal of the process by which we came here and by which we need to move forward. The whole issue of the international community worrying about environment, of sustainability, the issues of the MDGs leading to the SDGs, the issues of climate change, the issues of how governments and civil society have brought us over the 40-odd years since Stockholm to consider the deeper meaning of life and how we as citizens can take it forward. I thought it would be useful for me really to try and place the whole issue of environmental education in the context of what precisely we mean by sustainability, how that is going to be translated into action on the ground, and how one day we may see that not only is education important for achieving the goals we've set ourselves, not only is education important as an end in itself, as a human right, but how important education is in terms of actually achieving some of the sustainability goals, indirectly and directly. So let me share a few substantive issues. What is sustainability? We know that it has three strands, three legs, if you like, to stand on. The issues of social, the issues of environmental, the issues of economic progress are all embodied in the concept of sustainability. And these basically mean that we need a society to live in that is much more equitable than it is today, much more in harmony with nature, and that meets the basic needs of all. In a sense, in the land of Gandhi, this is precisely what the Mahatma was preaching for the whole first half of the last century. We've not invented anything new. It was there, something that we had all come to believe in, led by a mind and spirit which showed that the world has to be different from the way we are. Even so, after the Mahatma's passing away, the following half century or more have led us into directions that have caused unbelievable harm, not only to people, but to nature and to the future of our planet. What we need to do now is to cause a fundamental change in behavior towards each other, towards nature, and towards the cosmos. And you can't achieve a change in behavior unless you achieve a change in mindsets, in the way we think. And in fact, that can't be done unless we change our value systems. What is it that we believe in? What is our relationship with people, with nature, and with machines, with technology that brought us here? These values have to be very long-term in nature, and they have to be embodied, embedded, if you like, in the values of society. I believe there are 3 or 4 very simple principles which, if we could basically keep in mind, sustainability would be a much easier goal to achieve. The very first, a truly Gandhian principle, is putting the last first, Antodaya. The very lost people on our planet, 3 billion of them, who got left behind. They should be and have to be the first order of priority in whatever we do at the national and international level. The second is parity and fairness. It goes along with the first one. It's about social justice. It's about having a society in which everyone feels that they have some stake and some control over their futures. The third P is polluter pays. The people who cause damage have to be held responsible. They have to be put in a place where they pay the costs of that. And the fourth one is something that we already talked about 40 years ago at Stockholm, the precautionary principle. Don't do something if you don't know what the outcomes are going to be, particularly the negative ones. Minimize risks, maximize benefits. The dimensions of sustainability then become basically the 4 E's: equity, social justice, fairness, environmental health, ecosystem services. You know, the ecosystem provides more value in services, in rupee terms, in dollar terms, than the man-made economy. We have an economy around the world of roughly $70 trillion. Well, there are estimates that nature actually provides twice that much. And we take it for granted. Clean waters, the airs that we breathe, the food systems that we have, the biogeochemical cycles, all of these add up to literally trillions and hundreds of trillions of dollars. The third is the economy, and that means efficiency. Stop the wastage. Enterprise. Basically, make it possible for people to take charge of their lives. But the fourth and the most important one is empowerment. And empowerment comes basically with education, with a belief in one's endogenous, one's own cultural values. That's what this Parampara book is all about. It extols the virtues of our traditions and our culture that we have inherited from generations past. It's not a coincidence that it is the Center for Environmental Education that has come up with this book for the ministry, because education and endogeneity are the very basis of empowerment. So the key questions that we have to ask about how do we get to sustainability are, is the diversity of the social fabric that we have being strengthened? Because it is in diversity, in variety, that lies the strength of our people to face the future. Is the diversity of the natural life support systems being conserved? It was already very strong. Nature gave us, the Creator gave us a natural system which was very resilient. But now today we are losing species at about 100 times the background rate. That's a problem. That's an environmental problem that's as big, if not bigger, in terms of urgency than climate change. We're losing the very basis of our life support systems. And the third is the portfolio of economic choices expanded? Are the livelihoods that our people need in order to look after them becoming available? So on all this knowledge is the central issue. Knowledge about skills, about how to do things, yes. Knowledge about how to live with this world, yes. But a new kind of knowledge. And I think the next 3 days are about considering the following 4 major issues. Is our knowledge directed at systemic issues, at the root causes? Is it holistic enough for us to be able to connect the dots, to be able basically to understand that the world is so complex that one single sectoral piece of knowledge is not going to solve the problem. One ministry, one department, one discipline is not enough. We have to bring them all together, and that's what was the problem of the Ministry of Environment, trying to get all the other ministries to see that they are all actually deeply linked together. And these interlinkages are really where the action is going to be. So where does that leave us for education? Well, we're going to be considering at different levels, tertiary levels, economics. What are the basic problems of economics that are causing the problems that we are dealing with in our SDGs? Economics, discount rates that don't reflect our value of the future. Engineering, efficiency enough, or is sufficiency also important? Here's another truly Gandhian concept. Gandhiji was the most dedicated efficiency expert. He believed in zero waste, but he also believed in sufficiency. What is enough? And our education systems are not teaching us, and not even allowing us to think about the second. All we do is actually produce engineers and economists who think that we should get more with less. But what about more with less? And what about less with less? And how much more fulfilling could life be? So let me start to finish the issue of education by saying that if our education does not help us learn to put need above greed, about the ethics of living together on a planet which is finite, then it has achieved not too much. And this has to go all the way down to the secondary and primary value systems. I often am amazed at how much that little country, a neighbor of ours, Bhutan, has done in the way of doing this at the primary level. Whenever I meet a school child in Bhutan, it's amazing how wise this person is. It may be their Buddhist origins, but it may be something else. The whole political system has geared itself to producing the next generation of sustainability experts. Okay, so having said that, it seems to me that the one thing I cannot leave this podium without saying is that the importance of these issues can only be put front and center by a strong civil society. Governments are important. Without governments, we don't have governance. Business is important. Without business, we don't have all the production systems and job creation systems that we want. But civil society, something that we inherited from millennia of voluntarism in a country like India, the US, and many other countries, is crucial. And today, around the world, it is under huge threat. Without civil society, governments must understand you cannot have a democracy. And if you don't have a democracy, you can't have participation. If you don't have participation, you don't have sustainability. So it is extremely urgent for us all to give full respect to the need for dissent, for civil society that is strong and active, and sometimes inconvenient, sometimes difficult to handle. But nothing is more important than nurturing it. And all this is important because one major element of sustainability is population growth. If we didn't have 7.5 billion people on this planet, we wouldn't be sitting here talking. If we had half as many, we would all be enjoying a different kind of life. And it is only education, particularly education for women, but education for all, that helps people delay marriage, to have a choice of having smaller families and be able basically to contribute directly to reducing carbon emissions. I have calculated in my research that if you simply spend $4 on a girl's education, you save a ton of carbon emissions. That compares with $250 for carbon capture and sequestration, $50 for planting trees, and $80 for getting superthermal critical power stations. So it's a very good investment to put your money into girls' education for reducing climate change. Thank you.